Farming and meat production often get a bad rap for contributing to climate change, causing increases in greenhouse gases like CO2.
CO2 is not bad, it's just the placement is the issue. You need enough CO2 in the atmosphere to keep the planet warm. You have too much, it gets too warm.
But there's a new movement that actually pulls that CO2, or carbon, from the air where it's harmful and puts it in the soil where it's helpful. It's called regenerative farming.
So through photosynthesis, through the ability of the plants to grab CO2 out of the atmosphere, that is how carbon is taken out of the atmosphere and put into the soil.
Filmmaker and Professor Peter Bick's new film series, Carbon Cowboys, explains why this method of farming is beneficial to all of us and how it works. Starting with the grazing technique.
What the Carbon Cowboys do is they put their animals in a small herd, tightly packed, to replicate how the bison used to be when they roamed the Great Plains. And so what that small herd tightly packed does is it makes sure everything gets eaten, and eaten sort of evenly.
The cattle then trample the land and move on to the next area.
To mimic this herd migration, they break up their ranches into small areas called paddocks.
Each paddock is allowed to rest for up to 90 days, allowing it to regenerate grasses and plants, which makes the soil even better over time.
Each year, the soil's richer, the carbon content's higher,
and the cows are happier. Next up, those small paddocks eliminate the need for chemical fertilizer, which means healthier cows and soil.
So the animals are the fertilizers, right? What the Carbon Cowboys are doing is they're putting their animals in a tight herd, and so then the manure and the urine's pretty evenly spread.
And that natural fertilization method creates biodiversity, a fancy word for more microbes in the soil.
And it's those microorganisms that feed all the plants, that nourish all the animals, that feed civilization.
You get this great symbiotic system. If you're doing grazing, the animals graze those plants, and then you get really healthy animals.
Finally, regenerative farming helps prevent flooding.
Then in those big, heavy rainfalls that we seem to be getting more and more of, the soils absorb that water, and they replenish the groundwater, and they don't flood downstream.
The old method of farming left dry soil that couldn't handle the vast amounts of rain.
Now we can infiltrate over 8 inches of rainfall per hour. Think of the ramifications of that. I tell people, it's not how much moisture and rainfall you get, it's how much can your soils hold.
And this farming method also helps replenish the water table too. You can stream Carbon Cowboys for free at carboncowboys.org. The site also has links of where you can purchase these kinds of earth-friendly beef. Celebrating the Carbon Cowboys at the top of the list.